Hey y'all, you're back here with John, and I wanted to walk through mini split installation on interior walls. I am a crazy person sometimes. I decided to install 2 4-zone mini splits in my house, so 8 total head units. It is overkill, but with all the variable inverter and compressor stuff, it works out okay. Actually, it works out fantastically, and I just can run certain heads here and there if I want to, and I can change room temperatures, of course, but in the winter is when I really got to kind of use the whole system because I have a high ceiling in one of my rooms. So for heating, it actually is just a bit oversized. For cooling, it's definitely oversized, but my house is not an open floor plan concept house. It's the 1970s house, so I didn't really know how the air was going to get distributed. So anyway, I didn't want to have stuff on the outside of the house, so I committed to try to figure out how to do it on the interior walls. And I wanted to give you a few tips because I've had a few trials and tribulations over the last 2 years. I've had these running and stuff like that, and made some modifications, tried to help some stuff out, just from strictly a condensation perspective. And yes, mine are just gravity condensation ones, which might be maybe even part of the problem. Maybe if you get one with condensation pumps, it'll collect everything, but I might describe why it might not collect everything. So, apologize for the mess in this room. This is a storage room for the time being until the last 3 rooms are done. So, this insulation went all the way around both these lines, and went all the way to right about here. It was loosely around there. Of course, there was no black insulation. There was none at all, okay? It was just the copper lines with this little stuff around it. So, what ended up happening was, and what I think in theory is the correct design would be, on an exterior wall, this stuff right here goes straight out the wall with the lines, and it creates a nice little funnel for the lines to just flow water outside and any sort of excess condensation. So when those lines are exposed to any sort of humidity, they're going to immediately condense. You can't avoid that. The only way to get them not to condense is, of course, put insulation around them. There can be no air touching those lines, or no air with any sort of moisture in it, which is all air, except for maybe Phoenix, Arizona, or the desert, or something like that. But so my thought was, okay, I'm going to insulate these extremely heavily to attempt to do this on the interior wall better. And I'll admit, I did this the wrong way the first time. I always saw little drips here and there, nothing that created any sort of mold. I've been in the walls, I've torn them, but definitely not correct. So anyway, I did that insulation. It's just a simple rubberized insulation on Amazon, and it works like a charm. So to go on to how I actually mounted this on the wall and actually did this within my interior walls without destroying too much stuff. As you can see, so I kept these tucked sideways. Typically, like, if they're an exterior wall, they'd come out toward, out of the wall like that and go outside. As you can see, there's a little ingenuity here of this. These lines come through the top of the wall right here. And I was very particular about, it's a 16-inch stud. They enter on one side of the 16-inch stud and they kind of curve down just like that. And then they, of course, come out and then they go into that piece over there. The two lines right there, of course, at this same angle here. As you can see, so I've been into the other side of this wall. The other side of the wall is actually the dining room. And you can actually see the other mini split in there and the drainage. I'll show you the drainage. What I did is I ran PVC down in there. And that drains into my crawl space. And I did it with this one as well. Right there. As you can see, it's not, obviously it's, this mini split's going to fill that one. But that drains into my crawl space, and I have a conglomeration of wires that actually I drain it into my septic tank. I can't drain it outside. I learned a lesson. When it got below freezing, my condensation lines froze, of course, as they should, and everything backed up. So anyway, I learned a lesson the hard way there, so I just keep them all in the crawl space, and they go right to the septic, and they go in there, and that's the way they go out. So maybe pro tip there. Once I insulated this fully, and insulate the lines up there very, very fully, including the actual flare nuts, like I get on these flare nuts and actually insulate this whole thing, it does not sweat even a little bit. So just want to show you guys that, just to hopefully help somebody, because I can't find any videos of installing them on interior walls. And look, I'm not an HVAC tech. I don't know if I'm doing something crazy wrong or crazy right. I've got no clue. But right now I've got no leaks and I've got some really good running mini splits. So I'm pretty happy with that. The other tip I can give you, so you know, some people put walls in their insulation in their interior walls. This house doesn't have that, which, you know, it's a catch-22 there. Good sound insulation or, you know, ease of running stuff post wall forming is, you know, a positive. So what I want to say about that, though, I actually, when I originally put these mini splits in about 2 years ago, I did not have access to the interior wall. It wasn't destroying stuff. So what I did was I got a pipe that was flexible like this. You know, just at Lowe's or Home Depot, just some nice clear pipe and or tube, excuse me, clear tube. And I ran it from where I wanted it up here, and I ran it, snaked it down the wall inside the drywall, and I would cut a little hole by the baseboard. I cut a little hole by the baseboard, then I could get my drill in, and I would drill through the bottom sill plate, and then I'd send it into my crawl space. Yes, it's a little bit of drywall, a little bit of patchwork, but it works really well, and you can get that thing through. The other thing, what I did with my mini splits, they're two 36,000 BTU. They're pretty hefty mini splits. They're mounted on the back of my house on custom L brackets that I made, because none of the brackets I found met the specifications for the distance off the wall. So be careful about that when you get into the bigger units. And I wanted them off the ground for mowing and all that kind of stuff. So mine are on the back wall, and then they snake up into the eave, and then I run all my lines in the attic. Running in lines in your attic, I mean, they don't condensate because they got insulation on them. And it's been very reliable, and I get good cold air. I mean, even though I got a hot attic, it's North Carolina. If you got any questions, just post them. Maybe I can help. I've messed around with them for 2 years. I could give you the longest story, but they were working very well, and I think I might have had a little leak in a flare, and it's a whole little thing. But right now, the actual installation and stuff like that was not the problem. It might have been the user who maybe did some flares that weren't the greatest. You know, and I could get in the whole process of how you suck them down. But there's videos on that from like some people and whatnot. But anyway, I think I'm learning as I go a little bit. Haven't injured anything yet. And if you want to know what type of noise my unit was making, maybe I'll try to find the video I took of it. But to signal that I had some challenges. Hell, maybe somebody could tell me what the heck the actual reason was. But I pumped everything back to the unit, resucked stuff down, had a service tech with some 410 come by, and added just a little bit of Freon, not much, pumped them back in the head units, and everything, you know, seemed pretty fine. So anyway, sorry for rambling there, but if you got any questions, let me know, and thanks for watching. Hopefully this helps you.